from Abuja.
It's all about the human struggle to raise the level of living. That's what it's all about. I'm Magnus Packle, and this is Magnus Packle GVA. I appreciate you being a part of our show. By its very nature, sport is about participation. It is about inclusion and citizenship. Sport brings individuals and communities together, highlighting communities and bridging cultural or even ethnic divides. Sport teaches the value of effort and how to manage victory as well as defeat. The fundamental elements of sport make it a viable and practical tool for development. The practice of sport is vital to the holistic development of young people, fostering their physical and emotional health and building valuable social connections. Sport also provides healthy alternatives to harmful actions, such as drug abuse and involvement in crime. Sport contributes to economic growth. The economic potential of sport is immense and can be felt in many activities, such as the manufacture of sporting goods, sports events, sports-related services, and the media. Beyond being an economic force in itself, sport is also a potential catalyst for economic development. A physically active population is a healthier population, improving the productivity of the workforce and reducing poverty. Sports and physical activity also provide one of the most cost-effective forms of preventative medicine to the populace. Indeed, sports bars with several large-screen TVs are big-time hits at night across Africa. The bars are unable to keep up with the demand for beer and food when important games or sporting activities are being televised, especially now that there are Africans as stars across the world in soccer and other sports. These nighttime activities are not just for entertainment. They create jobs and positively engage potential criminals. Soon, we will have a real focus on sport as a tool in poverty eradication. In view today, positive contagion. But up next, how much should you tip? It is good to give a tip, especially when someone has provided some good value in service. When you go to a restaurant, it is actually expected that you will give a good tip, especially if the waiter or waitress was good with the service provided. The question often is about how much tip to give. At a restaurant, no tip should be less than 10% of the value of the meal. On average, your tip should be about 15% to 20% of the value of the meal. Indeed, you would need to tip bartenders, hotel bellhops, airport luggage helpers, and people who give you personal service of good value. In some parts of the world, people start to expect a tip just by being around when you are counting your money or paying someone who has provided service to you. A thing that is gaining traction in Nigeria these days is the expression, "Happy Weekend." Typically on Fridays, people, indeed just about any supposedly low-paid worker, upon seeing a seemingly rich person would say, "Happy weekend, sir." This has now gone on so much, there is Happy Monday, Happy Tuesday, literally happy every day. When you say this to a supposedly big man or madam, you expect to be tipped just for saying it. Now, what has become interesting recently is that they can just say, "Morning, sir," and that means 500 naira. If the person says, "Morning, sir," and stamps their foot, that's 1,000. Now, there is no value for this type of greeting. And quite honestly, all it implies is that the so-called big man or madam may have gotten his money inappropriately and disproportionately. If you're a big man, realize that bogus tips like this go a long way to validate a certain impression about you. And it is a disincentive to hard work for the person you think you are helping. There are better ways to help the disadvantaged. Our hidden economics for you. The Nigerian artist Duncan Mighty may have unwittingly promoted positive contagion with his very popular song, Port Harcourt Boy. In his one-by-one recognition of some of the big boys of Port Harcourt, he has caused them to do more for Port Harcourt. I think that the seeds of positive contagion are being sown in many shopping centers across Africa, as young boys who have finished school or left school are making good incomes in buying hard-to-find merchandise from around the world and bringing them to Africa. In many cases, they have also mastered the repair of many of the electronic products they bring in, and might even be able to build some from scratch if the necessary supportive facilities and conditions are available. Given the difficult job market for young people in Africa, and indeed across the world at this time, these young men and women could have blamed it all on the government and gone into armed robbery, kidnapping, or even terrorism. Duncan Mighty has not sung about them, but there are motivating Port Harcourt type boys in all categories of endeavor. Now, let us meet some of these so-called boys in the shopping center in Abuja. I am really delighted to be here at this shopping center. It is really wonderful here, and we're here at the offices of Bluetooth Links, and I've been watching the activities at shopping centers like this all over Nigeria and Africa, and very pleased, with the achievements, of young guys like you guys. And so today we have 3 of you here, very successful, and if I may start by introducing you, Mr. Saliu Abdul Kadri. People know you as Bluetooth, and you are a graduate of Usman Dan Fodio University in Sokoto. You have a degree in economics. Mr. Austin Chukuma, you are also very successful here, the CEO of Barcode Digital World.
I also studied economics.
You also studied economics, okay. And we also have with us Mr. Tolu Toki. You are the MD of Cyber Plus Nigeria Limited. It's an IT firm, and you're also a senior consultant at iNexus Ideas Factory. I like that term, Ideas Factory. And you're the national president of something called the Self-Employment Program here in Nigeria, so NSEP. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have this idea, this concept that I call positive contagion. And I think that what you guys are doing is a very good example of what positive contagion is all about. Because I would imagine, and we'll get to find out, that there are many people that are copying after you, after the successes that you have been able to achieve as young guys. And perhaps there are people that you emulated as you were coming up. There were things that caused you to want to get into this. So I want to start right away with you, Mr. Bluetooth, if I may just start calling you that. And after he talks about this, I would want Mr. Chukuma and Mr. Toki to also to join in. What was your motivation for getting into this kind of business and driving you to be as successful as you have become?
Yeah, actually I got the inspiration when I bought a phone called Tell Me in 2004. This phone was supposed to play...
It's called Tell Me?
Tell Me.
Okay.
The phone was supposed to play an MP3 music. Then I tried all I could. I couldn't get it done. Then I returned the phone to the vendor who sold the phone to me. So on getting to him, he bluntly told me that, no, young man, I only sell phone here. I don't know. I don't teach people how to use phone.
Okay.
Then, and I got good the problem I had. That, okay, this is a good phone I bought. And I bought this phone for 140 based on the personal idea I have about the phone. I had about the phone that this phone can play an MP3 music.
Yes.
Then I got a different solution from Google. Then I took it up.
You just basically Googled it.
Then when I Googled it, the information I got really helped me, and I was able to download MP3 music turn me phone.
Yes.
Then everywhere I go, if I play the music, people will be tricked. They will be tripping.
Yes.
And I ask me, how did you get this done? Please, I have cell phone. Can you do this for me? And I said, okay, let me see. I started doing it for people for fun. So people, every day, people will call me, oh, Bluetooth, Sally, where are you? Please, I have a phone call, tell me, I have a Nokia phone, can I play an MP3 music on it? Wow. Then I was not doing it for money. I started thinking positive, in a positive way. That, okay, now, since this government job is not forthcoming, what
can you do on your own? I imagine that would be about the same thing for you, Mr. Chukwuma. How did yours get started that you were able to build the success that you have now?
Well, my own started while in school. I actually have had flares for gadgets and all that. But the business part came in the camp, NYSC camp.
Yes.
I served here in Abuja. Service board here in Abuja. And that's how it all started. The National Acquisition Skills did something then. And I started seeing the business in gadgets.
Yes.
And started going into internet, making more research, trying to be updated and see how I can sell these ideas to people. So when I came out from service, it was difficult. I am just my friend here. I can remember how many times we made a different interviews.
Yes.
And they will tell you that, okay, we'll get back to you and all that. But at the time I said, you can do this. Get into business. Probably this is what your line is at. You have a passion for it.
Yes.
So I think I had passion for it before I ventured.
Yes. Mr. Toki, what was your story? How did it all get started?
Basically, I'm actually an advocate of self-development. I believe so much in people empowering each other to following their interest at art. Basically, I like computers, and I just like the idea that you can program a computer to do whatever you want it to do. But then, I don't know anything about computer. That was back then in 2001. And I grew up in Kwara State, in Ilorin. So I stay around an area where there are cyber cafes. So I just go into any of the cyber cafes, go meet somebody browsing there, say, please, what's the meaning of enter? What's the meaning of space? What does mouse do? Is it
something that
anything about it?
Is that an animal?
Yeah. What does the monitor do? Because I heard about monitors in the computer. What is the monitor? Is it this one that's the monitor or this one? So all this curiosity give back to knowledge.
Now the reason I came here is that your success that you've achieved is very visible. You know, everybody can see it. You know, you go out there to Dubai, to China, all over the world, the United States, Europe, and all of that, and you've got people that are working for you. So you've been able to take care of not only yourselves, but also other people and your families. Now, when you started, you just told me now how you started. Mr. Chukwuma, for example, what about money? Where did you get money from to even buy the first product or actualize the first idea?
I actually had a little savings while I was serving.
Okay.
And I got from family and friends to, you know, we started very little.
And it was not a lot?
Yeah, we started very little. As little as not up to 500,000.
Wonderful.
Yeah. But you just have to start.
Not up to 500,000 naira.
You don't have to start.
That is amazing. Yes, that's amazing.
Big things happen small.
Yes.
You don't really have to wait till you get that huge amount of money to start.
Yes, the timing.
Did you get
My
it
mom had to borrow 90,000 naira from
for you to get started?
to get a laptop for me,
Okay.
and that was my break.
Okay.
I sat down, studied the in and out of what I can do with a laptop, and that was actually when I discovered that. So I can do this, so I can do that. Then I go look for ways to read books more on it, and before I know it, people keep calling me.
From that 90,000 naira.
90,000 naira.
Did you get? Did anybody give you money, or you also started with your own savings?
So I started from the money I received from people when I made the business. Naturally, like I told you, I started as fun. Then later on people start paying, then I set the fee. And I was able to raise the money I used in starting the business when I got the shop.
It's also the part of integrity. Probably people who see you have a drive for this
And
and
you
you have a
think-
market for it,
Yes.
then you have a good
Exactly.
name,
Yes.
it will help you out.
It works as like a plug and play, really.
We're talking about positive contagion now. There were
Yeah.
people who positively affected you or influenced you. And they caused you to believe that you also could do it. Then what about the people that you have impacted?
Yes, so
About
far
how many people would you
I've
say?
trained more than 300 people.
My
how to do
goodness.
the same job. Anywhere you go, you find them around. Even in this plaza, everywhere, all over the country.
In what areas?
They are trained then on how to do download on
Okay,
devices,
okay.
how to install music, and how to put applications like Bible.
And they go off and do that for other people.
Call them
Yeah.
from other places.
Yeah.
Even where they are in school.
Thank you very much. Now, Barcode Digital World. I like that name. Barcode Digital World. See, the kinds of things that you do. Where do you see other people like you, say in a few years' time, you inclusive?
Well, my experience with most youths, my age mates and all that, like most of my friends are abroad who are whiling away time. That's what I always say.
Yes.
Because there's this syndrome of wanting to travel out. Till date, I think I still advise most of my friends. I've been able to convince few to come back and start something. It's really, really.
These are people who are outside Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because
Some of them
because a very good point.
they say yeah, I'm going to go do my masters. After the masters, they're there.
And they're doing not much. You're absolutely right. And it's good for people to understand that.
So it's something I look every morning I wake up. I intend to grow bigger.
Yeah. Mr. Bluetooth, I'm going to end with you. You're one of the grandmasters here. And you've been here long enough. What do you see as the future of this kind of business in this very beautiful city of Abuja and across Nigeria?
The future will be successful because if you take a look at this is where we started from. We have very few people in the business, and as you can see now, everywhere you go, you find people trying to do the same business.
And some of these people could have gone into bad behavior, to say it in a nice way. I call them free radicals. These guys that can do just about anything. They could go into armed robbery, they could go into terrorism, they could go into whatever. And you guys have been able to hold them together. This is the essence of this discussion that we're having, is to recognize the wonderful job you are doing. And I want the world to see the great job you're doing, not just for yourselves and your families and your friends, but for other people that you never even knew, that you never knew before, that are coming and are learning from you and looking at you and having great inspiration from you, and then aspiring to be as good as you and perhaps even better. So it's a wonderful job that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much.
And on that note, I really want to thank you so very much, Mr. Bluetooth. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Chukuma. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Toki. Great job. Thank you all very much. It is not only diseases that are contagious. Contagion can arise from both negative and positive things. What is really important is how to stop or manage contagion. If the contagion is negative, as when from a disease, we need to stop it or at least control it. However, if the contagion is from something positive, then we need to promote it. The question now is, who will transmit positive contagion? We would need carrier mechanisms. In the retail trade business in Nigeria, for example, and looking particularly at the recent shopping center boom for electronics, the contagion has occurred by itself. Started by a handful of enterprising young men in the late 1990s, today a robust sector that is keeping tens of thousands of young men and women employed has emerged. What is needed is to develop spin-offs in repair, assembly, and even production activities. And success in this area would create its own contagion. To validate the positive contagion in retail trade in Nigeria, notice how retail trade as a percent of GDP has expanded from just about 14% in 2002 to nearly 20% in 2011. Clearly, without the growth in retail trade, job creation will be even more miserable in the country today. As it is, almost everyone has something to retail, regardless of the professional job they have. This is happening because of contagion from the success of others. The government has to provide some encouragement whenever there are spillover benefits and positive contagion. At the EBS, we are developing various sectoral models for promoting positive contagion. However, these models may not always involve significant budgetary expenditure, as quite often just building targeted and stronger public-private partnerships can promote positive contagion. I think that our local and state or provincial governments, with support from the central government, have to look critically at how promoting positive contagion can switch attitudes and change behavior. This can help in reducing crime and create jobs. When we want to reduce negative contagion, we stop the sources of infection. Negative contagion arises from conditions where agents infect. Positive contagion, on the other hand, arises from conditions where agents invest. Well-designed investments in people will promote positive contagion. I'm Magnus Packle, and that's my view.